bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. If you would turn in your Siddur to the middle of page 128. With Yidid Nefesh in the middle of the page. Yidid Nefesh of Harachaman, Yidid Nefesh of Harachaman, Mishochavdecha Eretzonecha, Mishochavdecha La 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 Eretzonecha Yarutz Avdecha Kemo Nefesh av harachaman, Yidid nefesh av harachaman, Mishochavdecha Eretzonecha, Mishochavdecha La 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 Eretzonecha Yarutz avdecha kemo ayah yishtachavei la el mul hadarecha. On page 120, you'll find the blessings for lighting our Shabbat candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with your commandments and commands us to light the lights of Shabbat. We'll continue on page 130 as we make our way through the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, leaving behind both the energies and the excitements and the difficulties and the stresses of the week behind us, and come into a time of the peace of Shabbat. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina Ladonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina Ladonai. Naria, naria, Nitzur Yishenu, Nekadma Fanav B'todah. Naria, Naria, Nitzur Yishenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina al Adonai. Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina al Adonai. On page 131, the bottom paragraph, Yismechu Hashamayim, the heavens will be happy. V'tagel ha'aretz, and the land will rejoice. Yiram hayam, and the sea will also be joyful. Umelo'o, and all that fills them. All of God's creation, the psalm teaches, give thanks for all of the other aspects of God's creation. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel ha'aretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel ha'aretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Melo'o. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Melo'o. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel ha'aretz. Let's read together at the top of page 132. Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Sing to Adonai, bless God's name. Proclaim God's victory day after day. Tell of God's glory among the nations, God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. For Adonai is great and much acclaimed. God is held in awe by all divine beings. All the gods of the peoples are mere idols, but Adonai made the heavens. Glory and majesty are before God. Strength and splendor are in God's. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, for God is coming. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly, and its people with faithfulness. At the bottom of the page, 4 lines from the bottom, words that come to us from Psalm 97. Light is a reward for those who are righteous, and happiness is the reward for those who are good-hearted. Or zarua lat tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. 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 Ul yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua lat tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. Ul yishrei lev simcha. Lai 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 lai. Page 135. We'll read together in English and then we'll sing the last 3 lines of the Hebrew together. Adonai, enthroned on cherubim, is sovereign. People tremble, the earth quakes. Adonai is great in Zion and exalted above all peoples. They praise your name as great and awesome. God is holy. Mighty ruler who loves justice, it was you who established equity, you who worked righteous judgment in Jacob. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down to God's footstool. God is holy. Exalt Adonai our God and bow toward God's holy hill, for Adonai our God is holy. Those last words, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. We'll turn to page 138 and 139. As we come to Lecha Dodi, as we welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride, the Kabbalists in Tzfat some 500-ish years ago wanted to find a way to make the idea of Shabbat a little more accessible and a little more personable. And so they started speaking of Shabbat using ancient texts, but modernizing them, at least modernizing them in their time 500 years ago, to use these texts as a way of kind of personalizing Shabbat, as of bringing Shabbat to life. And they imagined Shabbat using some words out of the Zohar and the Sefer Yetzirah to ancient texts that are now read very much in the world of Kabbalah, as if Shabbat was a wedding, and Shabbat was the bride, and the Jewish people are the groom, and Shabbat is the wedding ceremony of us coming together. So Shabbat is both the bride and the ceremony all at the same time. I don't know how the math works on that, but it all comes together and we get to enter into the beauty of Shabbat. Page 138. Lecha dodi li kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi li kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishni'anu el ha'miyuchad Adonai echad Shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'letchila Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mikor ha'bracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machsheva techila. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha hu mitzei metoche hafecha rav lach shevet be'emnek habacha vehu yachamor alayich imla. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Hitna'ari me'afar bumi livshi b'dei tifartech ami al yad ben Ishai beit halachmi karva el nafshi ga'ala. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. The top of 139. Itoreri ki ba'oret uri shir da'aberi kevod Adonai alayich nila. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat v'kabela. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 b'nei B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Lo tevoshi v'lo tikali Ma tishtochachi u'ma e'emi Bach yechesu ani'e ami V'nivneta ir al tzila Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat V'hayu shisa shosayich V'rachaku kol mevalayich Yasis alayich Elohayich Kimsos katan al kahala Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Yamin Usmot Tifrotzi Ve'et Adonai Ta'aritzi Al Yad Ish Ben Parzi V'nis Necha Ve'nagila Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat. We rise, we face the door as we greet the Shabbat bride. O'i v'shalom ateret balad gam b'simcha u'v'tzora toch emunei am segula Bo'i chalab Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Kabbalat. And since we greeted Shabbat, we'll greet each other. Turn to the people next to you, in front of you, beside you, across the aisle, and wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. And for those of you joining us on YouTube Live and TempleShalom.com Live, Shabbat Shalom to all of you. We're happy to have all of you online with us here this evening. And a couple people are waving at you there, so know that we all know you're there. Well, again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. We're happy to have all of you with us this evening. We're going to continue on page 140 as we come to Psalm 92, a psalm of Shabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. It is good to give thanks to God. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, and to sing of God's name most high. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Lahagid b'boker chastecha, ve'emunatecha ba'leilot. Alei asor ve'alei navel alei higayon v'chino mizmor shir liyom haShabbat tov lehodot l'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ki V'simachtani Adonai v'vo'olecha v'maasei yadecha arani v'magadlu ma'asecha Adonai me'od amku machshavotecha mizmor shir leyom haShabbat tov lehodot la'Adonai u'lizamer leshimcha elyon u'lizamer leshimcha elyon mizmor shir leyom haShabbat tov lehodot la'Adonai u'lizamer leshimcha elyon u'lizamer leshimcha elyon u'lizamer leshimcha elyon u'lizamer leshimcha elyon. On page 142, a 17th century song that was sung around the Shabbat table, still is in many homes, but it made its way eventually into the Siddur, thanking the angels for protecting us. And the idea that if we have an extra soul on Shabbat, we get an extra angel to protect that extra soul. And so we say, welcome, O angels, enter in peace and bless us on this Shabbat in peace. And then when Shabbat ends, you can go in peace as well. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bo'achem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We move into our Mariv service as we come to the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Yitkada v'yitkada Shemei Rabbah, Belmad Yivrach Yerutei v'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv yimeru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya yitbarach v'ishtabach v'itpa'ar v'itroman v'naseh Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shemei de kudesha, berichu le'ila min kol berchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, damihiron be'alma, v'imeru. Amen. We rise for Baruch Hu, page 146, as we invite ourselves to pray together. Lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. We can be seated. We'll read together in the middle of page 149 as we give thanks for the gift of creation. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'ma'ari Aravim Lai 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 Page 150, we give thanks for the gift of Torah. A week from tomorrow morning, we'll read about standing at Mount Sinai and receiving the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 commandments or 10 statements or 10 utterances, depending upon how you want to translate those Hebrew words. We're at the point in the story. Tomorrow morning we'll read about crossing the Sea of Reeds, and the week after, standing at Mount Sinai. All of this part of our story contained in Torah, giving us a roadmap not only out of Egypt on the way to Israel. Today we would have used Waze, I think, instead of the Torah to get from Egypt to Israel. But it's also a pathway for us to make our way through each and every day of our lives with all of the lessons that our ancestors learned that are collected on that scroll. And we say that God gave those words to us with love, which are the beginning words of this prayer on 150, Ahavat Olam. With an eternal love, you loved us by giving us this gift of the words of Torah. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, ukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki im chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nehege yomam ve'layla nehege yomam ve'layla ve'ahavatcha al תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. We'll continue with Shema on page 152. A melody that we don't sing all that often here, but a really beautiful one for the words of Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Ba'ed. 154. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'chol nafshecha u'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha u'kumecha ukshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvish'arecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'yot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We'll read the poetic translation of those words, page 155. We read together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. We come to our story of the Geulah, our story of redemption. It's the story of this week's Torah portion. Our redemption from Egypt, as it says at the top of page 157, standing on the parted shores of history. We still believe in what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. And this is where we were, as the poet writes here. But we, this week, stand at the parted sea. Next week, we will stand at the bottom of Sinai. We tell the story each and every year. We say all this we hold to be true and trustworthy, that you are our God, and we are Israel, your people. Emet ve'emunah, the top of 156. Emet ve'emunah, emet ve'emunah, emet ve'emunah, kol zot ve'kayam aleinu emet ve'emunah kol zot ki hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ein zulato va'anachnu Yisrael Amo emet ve'emunah emet ve'emunah kol zot ve'kayam aleinu emet ve'emunah kol zot. Now, if you're here tomorrow morning, as we're making our way through the Torah, when we get to Aliyah number 4, we will read these words from the Torah. Tonight we'll read them on page 158 in our Siddur. We'll actually read them tomorrow morning in our Siddur as well, but then in our Torah service we'll read them in that 4th Aliyah during Shirat Hayam, during the Song of the Sea. Kamocha ba'elim Adonai, kamocha ne'era b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Okei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze Eli anu ve'amru, Ze Eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov ugolo miyad chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai God Yisrael. Page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guard us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and to peace evermore. Praise for you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. The third line of the Hebrew says, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, and spread your shelter of peace over us. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Yalai lai lai, yalai lai lai, yalai lai 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 lai, yalai lai lai, yalai lai lai, yalai ya lai, 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 lai. We read together at the top of 162 in the English. The people of Israel will keep Shabbat. Observing Shabbat throughout the ages is a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from the work and was refreshed. V'shamiru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat midorotam berit olam b'niyuvin b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz u'biyom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat v'yihi nafash Shabbat Shabbat v'yihi nafash V'shameru Shabbat Shabbat v'yihi nafash V'shameru Shabbat Shabbat v'yihi nafash. As we come to page 164, we rise. As we come to our moment of communal prayer, and then individual prayer, and then communal prayer again, the words of our Amidah as we stand together and individually in front of God and sing songs of praises and of Shabbat and of thanksgiving. Na 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 Adonai. Ana na 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 Sifatai Tifta. Ana na 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 Ufiagi. Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Ana na 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 Adonai. Ana na 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 Sifatai Tifta. Ana na 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 Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Ana na 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 Adonai. Ana na 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 Sifatai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem L'Ma'an Shemo Be'Ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin Baruch Ata Adonai Magin Avraham Bezrat Sarah Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai V'Chai HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechakel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al givurot, umido melach, melech me'it umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atalachayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol, atah kadosh, u'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom, yahallelu chasel baruch atah Adonai, ha'el HaKadosh. We continue silently in the Hebrew or in the English through page 180 or 181. When you're finished with your silent prayers, please be seated. Page 178. Prayer for peace. Shalom Raha al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Raha al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים If you will please turn to page 371. We take a moment to think of those who are in need of healing. We ask God to bring refuah shlema, complete healing, healing of body and healing of soul, to Brian Zabel, Reuven ben Sipora, Moshe ben Avraham, Avram ben Odul, Ellen McIntosh, Faye Green, Malka bat Hillel Halevi, Yisrael Aharon ben Reuven Chaim Kohen, Harriet Neal, Shmuel ben Yosef, Chris Kaplan, Genendel bat Sima, Azi Rahmani, Beth Maxwell, Avraham ben Meir, Tova bat Rasha, David Zimmerman, David ben Rivka, Sue Laughlin, Lee Rosser, Leilani Elledge, Howard Messerman, the Feynman family, and Howard Chook. Do we have other names that anybody would like to add? For those of you who are at home, if you want to say names out loud so we can think of them during our prayers as well, please do wherever you may be. Any names on this side of the room for healing? On this side of the room, any healing names? Thank you. Any others? For all those we've named, for all those in need, may God bring them complete healing and may it come quickly to each and every one. Mi sheberach avoteinu mikor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imoteinu mikor habracha leavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. This Shabbat, we read from a Torah portion called Bishalach. It's the Torah portion that contains the story of the parting of the Sea of Reeds, and it's probably the oldest story we know of about refugees, the Israelites being refugees coming out of Egypt. It's because this story is about refugees surviving and making their way to their promised land that Hayes, some years ago, declared this weekend to be Refugee Shabbat. Now, some of you might be asking yourself, what's Hayes? So let me tell you what Hayes is. Hayes is an organization that had a different name when it first started back in the 1870s, when they used to go to a little place called Ellis Island and hand out packages of kosher food and some blankets And for the very, very lucky ones, maybe an offer of a job that paid a nickel or two a week. It was mostly Jews who came from Russia who were trying to escape from the pogroms. And they came to America, their new promised land, from Russia, their old Egypt. And as the population began to grow, more aid came through this organization, and eventually they, after World War I, as more Jewish refugees were coming out of Egypt, or out of Europe, their Egypt, they changed their name to the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, HIAS, HIAS. And after World War II, they, in the United States, were doing the similar thing that Hadassah was doing in Israel, resettling refugees at the end of World War II. Hadassah was working very heavily on putting together places where orphan children could live in what's now called Aliyat HaNoar, or these Aliyah villages for youth that were refugee housing for kids. Today they still exist. They're for kids who come from troubled families or from troubled backgrounds. In the United States, HIAS was trying to find homes and jobs and food and blankets and clothing, whatever else Jewish refugees might need, whether they were coming with families or without families. After resettling Jewish refugees from World War II, HIAS came to the conclusion that there were still more people to help. And so instead of being the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, they would be the Everybody Immigrant Aid Society, and just change their name to HIAS, not focusing on the Hebrew part of it, but changing to HIAS. And they become one of the largest refugee aid societies in the entire world. From a little tiny group of people, not enough to make a minyan in the 1870s, helping out, grabbing as much food and blankets as they could. If I remember correctly, it was 6 or 7 people that started going to hand out this stuff. And now today, one of the largest refugee aid societies in the entire world. But why such a thing for us? Because we are the refugees. We are the ones, not only refugees out of Egypt, but refugees from other places. In 1290, we were kicked out of England because we didn't want to join the Church of England. In 1349, we were kicked out of Hungary because we were too strong in the eyes of the Hungarian kings. In the 1390s, we had moved from Hungary into Central Europe and into Western Europe, and all those Jews who left Hungary and went into France, in the 1390s, they got kicked out of France. And so we went to Central Europe, and we went to Austria and Germany, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire kicked us out in the 1400s. And then we went over to a place that we knew would be a lot better for us, Spain and Portugal, where we had the golden age of Spain, some of the greatest Jewish scholars. And then, of course, in 1492, you all think Columbus sailed the ocean blue, but really the Jews got kicked out of Spain and Portugal. Okay, so Portugal, it was 1495, but close enough. We went on and we were kicked out of Lithuania and out of Portugal and out of parts of Italy and out of France again and out of England again and out of Spain again and then out of the northern parts of the Benelux countries and et cetera, throughout history. We are the ones who have been kicked out. We were kicked out in 1948 from Egypt and Libya and Morocco and Yemen and Jordan and Lebanon and all of the Arab countries when the state of Israel was declared. We are a people who throughout our history have been refugees, not just refugees on the pages and the scroll of Torah that we'll read tomorrow morning, becoming refugees from Egypt and wandering for 40 years. But HIAS said what we should do is make sure that while we wandered for 40 years in those ancient times, no one should ever wander for 40 years in modern times. And so we, the original refugees, the original wandering Jews, should make sure that there aren't wandering, fill in the blank with whatever it might be. And so HIAS, this beautiful organization that helps refugees no matter where they might come from, takes on the character of a Jewish organization that says, B'chol dor vador, chayav adam lirot et atzmo ke'ilu hu yitza mitzrayim. It's in Masechet Pesachim, the section of the Talmud on Pesach, but it's also in your Passover Haggadah. In every generation, it is incumbent upon every person to look upon themselves as if they themselves came out of Egypt. If we know what it's like to be a slave, we should make sure that no one is ever a slave. If we know what it's like to be a refugee, we should make sure that no one is a refugee. The holiday Pesach that comes up several months from now, but we begin to read its story in the Torah this week. It's not just a story of freedom. We often talk about Pesach. It's our freedom celebration. That's half of it. The other half of it is it's our responsibility celebration. We need to learn the lessons of our freedom, and then we need to take those lessons of our freedom and provide that freedom for everyone else that we can. Because I and you, not just our ancestors, not just an ancient group of people who we write about on this scroll, I was a slave in Egypt. You were a slave in Egypt. Those refugees that need our help, they were slaves in Egypt. We need to make sure that no one has that experience of wandering for 40 years through a desert. Whether it's Jews who most recently, the last few Jews were kicked out of Yemen, or whether it's people who are refugees. The largest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II is because of the war in Ukraine. And we know how bad the refugee crisis was in World War II. We're approaching similar numbers now. So as Jews, it's our responsibility to remember, I was a slave in Egypt, and I was a refugee. I will do what I can to make sure that those refugees don't wander forever and ever, as it felt to us, through that desert of not knowing. Through HIAS, through Hadassah, through other organizations, we have the responsibility to help all of them. And may the light that we bring in the world by doing so enlighten the path for others to bring that light as well. Amen. We come to the closing prayers of our service as we turn to page 586. As we rise and look at the bottom of the page for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gdula liotze bereshit, shelo asanu kugoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkinu kahen, vigor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu shehu noteh shamayim ve'yoser haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al u'shchinatu zo v'goveh meromim Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Efesulato Kakatu B'Torato Yadata Hayom V'Hashivota Elevavecha Ki Adonai Hua Elohim B'Shamayim Mima'al Ve'al Haaretz Mitachat ein od. K'malchut shelcha hi od lamei u'artimloch b'chavod. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'ne'emar vaya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad Ushemo echad. We can all be seated. In our yard sites this week, we recall the memories of Cheryl Dumont, Joseph Fabry, Norman Cohen, Carolyn Heyman, Esther Strick, Jim Hinman, Benny Sturkowitsky, Emma Abrams, Helen Devine, Marcos Tokaris, Sid Kravitz, Dora Miles, Esther Gordon, Esther Schmemmerman, Frida Mussman, Hannah Black, Harry Frank, Jacob Hadesman, Mary Ella Kemper, Sam Galoff, Stephen Crespin, Louis Greenberg, Morris Polikoff, Morris Solomon, Sheila Epstein, Emmanuel Staller, George Schillinger, Gilda Pasternak, Hannah Albion, Mayor Galoff, Melvin Karsman, Walter Levenstein, Charles Rosenthal, Esther Schellest, Herb Rubin, Jacob Borson, Reuben Gordon, Rita Kishinevsky, and Rose Kurlander. We are also in the period of Shloshim for Goldie Altman, as well as for Ruth Schnee. Are there any other yard sites that anyone is observing this week? Yehiyu zichronam levracha. May their memories be an eternal blessing. We ask mourners to rise, and those whose custom it is to stand with them. As in our Siddur, we turn to page 598, and in their memory we sanctify God's name. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam al me almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbichata v'nechemata, t'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We can all be seated. We'll call upon Carolyn from our board of directors to share a few announcements with us before we bring our service to a close.
I know this works, I think. Standing on my tiptoes. Thank you all for joining us this Erev Shabbat for our service, and I think it's not close enough. There, it's closer, yeah. If you are new or visiting Temple Shalom for the first time, please be sure to introduce yourself and let us welcome you. Thank you, Rabbi, for leading us this evening. Thanks to everyone who participated in the service this evening. Scott Levin, Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League, will be the speaker at the Sunday, February 5th Men's and Women's Club event. Mr. Levin will be speaking on anti-Semitism in the United States and worldwide and what we can do about it. Don't miss out on this timely subject with an expert's perspective. Please sign up online so that we know you're coming. It's not very often opportunity also to to see a sofer on site at Temple Shalom, Tuesday, February 7th, from 10:30 to 7:30. The chauffeur will be here to repair our Torahs and be able to, for education and discussion. Sign up on the temple's website. Sign up with Judy Karnak to participate in the original special Purim play. Members can find contact support in the monthly member e-bulletin. Rehearsals almost start immediately. Temple is looking to hire an education coordinator and executive director. Contact our current executive director, Elena Rathman, for further information. I also want to announce that Temple Shalom has a few new donor opportunities. Our sound system is in need of an upgrade. The upgrade is estimated to be about $15,000. Nope, is that correct? Yes, my zeros are bad. Don't say that about the treasurer. No, we have a donor who has created a matching donation that will match up to half the cost. So if anybody's interested. Also, the fence surrounding the temple playground which is used by the preschool and the religious Hebrew school, is damaged and needs immediate replacement. The fence replacement estimate was approximately $16,000. We have a donor who has created a matching donation that will match up to half of this estimate. Again, please, anybody, if you want to. There are additional long-term opportunities for donations to upgrade our playground equipment and the playground retaining wall. Please contact the Temple office if you wish to take advantage of any of these opportunities and help our community. Also, if you know of any Temple members who are ill, hospitalized, or suffering from a loss, please contact the Temple office so we can be sure to provide encouragement and support. Thanks to Anita, where'd she go, for the oneg tonight.
Thank you.
And you know, it's a rat's nest down there. We definitely need a new sound system.
If you occasionally hear that crackling that happens it didn't happen tonight, but it happens occasionally. It's the sound system. And then I showed Carolyn earlier tonight what's behind all the boxes down here. And you're better off driving in Rome or Cairo than making your way through the wires that are underneath this podium right here. So it definitely needs a little bit of work. We'll close our service on page 625. With the words of Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, V'heit Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech, Shemo Nikra, Ve'acharei, Tichlot HaKol, Levado, Yiloch Nora, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yeh, V'tifara. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'eit Naso V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kitlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'eit Naso V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kitlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh B'tifara V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh B'tifara Ve'ein sheni lehamshilo lehachbira Lireshi Velhitachi Velo Haoz Velo Haoz V'Hamisra Vehu Eli V'Chai Goali V'Tzur Chevi V'Eit Sarah Vehu Nisi Umanos Li Minat Kosi B'Yom Ekra Beyado Avkiduchi Be'et Ishan Be'aira Imruchi Givihati Adonai li Velo ira Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Kol Yitzin Yivra Li'it Nezov V'Chesed Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra V'Acharei Kitot Kol Levado Yimloch Nora V'Hu Haya V'Hu Oveh V'Hu Yeh B'Tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Kol Yitzin Yivra Li'it Nezov V'Chesed Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra V'Acharei Kitot Kol Levado Yimloch Nora V'Hu Haya V'Hu Oveh B'Tifara V'Hu Haya V'Hu Oveh B'Tifara V'Hu Haya V'Hu Oveh B'Tifara B'Tifara. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. For those of you online with us, have a wonderful Shabbat evening. For those of us that are here, we'll see you in the back for Kiddush and Motzi. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Lai 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 la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la